शङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गङ्गाधरा सुमनोहरा पाहि मां परमेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा शङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गङ्गाधरा सुमनोहरा पाहि मां परमेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा नीलकण्ठ भालनेत्र भस्मभूषित सुन्दरा पाहि मां करुणाकरा गिरिजेश ओंकारेश्वरा नीलकण्ठ भालनेत्र भस्मभूषित सुन्दरा पाहि मां करुणाकरा गिरिजेश ओंकारेश्वरा शङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गङ्गाधरा सुमनोहरा पाहि मां परमेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा ताण्डव प्रिय जय नटेश विश्वनाथ महेश्वरा पाहि मां अभयङ्करा व्याघ्र चर्माम्बरधरा ताण्डव प्रिय जय नटेश विश्वनाथ महेश्वरा पाहि मां अभयङ्करा व्याघ्र चर्माम्बरधरा शङ्करा चन्द्रशेखरा गङ्गाधरा सुमनोहरा पाहि मां परमेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा
ಜೀವ ಕುಸುಮವಿದು ಮೀಸಲು ನಿನಗೆ ಜೀವ ಕುಸುಮವಿದು ಮೀಸಲು ನಿನಗೆ ನೇಸರನ ಹೊಂಗಿರಣ ಸೋಂಕಾದ ಮುನ್ನ ಜೀವನದ ಬಿರುಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸುವ ಮುನ್ನ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸು ದೇವ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸು ದೇವ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಪಾತಾಳದಿಂದಾಚೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಚರಣ ಪಾತಾಳದಿಂದಾಚೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಚರಣ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾಂಡದಿಂದಾಚೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮಕುಟ ಪಾತಾಳದಿಂದಾಚೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಚರಣ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾಂಡದಿಂದಾಚೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮಕುಟ ಬೃಹತ್ತು ನೀನು ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮತೆಯೂ ನೀನು ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಬೇಡನ ಕೊಂಡೊಯ್ದೆ ಕೈಲಾಸ ನಿಧಿಗೆ ಬೇಡನ ಕೊಂಡೊಯ್ದೆ ಕೈಲಾಸ ನಿಧಿಗೆ ಕೂರಂಬು ಎಸೆದ ನರನಿಗೆ ಒಲಿದೆ ಕೂರಂಬು ಎಸೆದ ನರನಿಗೆ ಒಲಿದೆ ಭಕ್ತರ ಪ್ರಿಯ ನೀನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯ ಪ್ರಿಯ ನೀನು ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಜೀವ ಕುಸುಮ ಬೀದು ಮೀಸಲು ನಿನಗೆ ನೇಸರನ ಹೊಂಗಿರಣ ಸೋಂಕಾದ ಮುನ್ನ ಜೀವನದ ಬಿರುಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸುವ ಮುನ್ನ ಜೀವನದ ಬಿರುಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸುವ ಮುನ್ನ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಉದ್ಧರಿಸೋ ದೇವಾ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ
सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः तव नामस्मरणं मम जीवनं तव नामस्मरणं मम जीवनं तव नामश्रवणं परमानन्दम् तव नामश्रवणं परमानन्दम् तव रूपग्रहणं भवहरणं तव पादसेवनं मम रक्षकम् तव रूपग्रहणं भवहरणं तव पादसेवनं मम रक्षकम् ब्रह्मानन्दं स्वामी नामम् नेत्रानन्दं स्वामी रूपम् नित्यानन्दं स्वामी गीतम् हृदयानन्दं स्वामी बोधम् आत्मानन्दं स्वामी ध्यानम् आनन्दं परमानन्दम् Swami Sevanamanandam Anandam Paramanandam Swami Sevanamanandam Om Guru Natha Jaya Guru Natha 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 Sadguru Natha Mama Guru Natha Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Prostrations to one and all. So yesterday we were seeing verse number 34 and 35. How a spiritual seeker must approach the teacher. There is a famous verse in 34. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarsinaha. So approach the teacher with all humility. Fall at his feet. Prostrate unto him in all humility, expressing your readiness to learn at his feet. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, and then serve the teacher. Win his love, affection, his blessings, his grace. So in this process, when seva is done, the student is able to understand the teacher is able to understand the student. So there is a proper tuning that happens. And with this proper tuning, the teacher is able to rightly answer the questions of the student. In spirituality, you will always find that for the same question, there are different answers. The level of the answer will depend upon the level of the student. So for the same question, for a tamasic student, the answer will be different. Rajasic student, the answer will be different. Sattvic student, the answer will be different. Emotional student, answer will be different. Intellectual student, answer will be different. So according to the nature of the student, according to the vasanas in the student, according to the personality makeup of the student, the teacher will have to give answer, and for that tuning is necessary. And for proper tuning, our scriptures ask to do seva. So, pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarsinaha. So, these teachers who are tattvadarshis, who have experienced directly the ultimate reality, and jnaninaha, they know how to instruct this knowledge in the scriptural way. They know how to communicate this knowledge to the sincere seekers. So such teachers will definitely instruct this knowledge to you. What happens when this knowledge is gained? So Bhagavan says, the great result which comes is Yajnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshena drakshasi atmani athomai. Knowing which Yajnatva punaha moham na yasyasi. A person is no more deluded. So yesterday we were seeing this verse. Moham means delusion. What is delusion? You see what is not there, you don't see what is there. So this is called delusion. What exists is only this pure self, this pure consciousness. Today in our ignorance we don't see it. The world is only an illusion, but we see it as though it is the only reality in life. Now this is called moham. That which is an illusion, for us that is real. That which is real, the pure consciousness, for us it is non-existent. So therefore we can say we are all in a state of moham now. So what does this self-knowledge do? It puts an end to moham. So then what is the result? Once the moham is ended, delusion is ended, Bhagavan says, you will find that the whole world has no independent existence of its own. You will find that the whole world exists in the self, in pure consciousness. Yena bhutani asheshena atmani drakshasi. You will see the entire world, things, beings, happenings, you will see them in your own self. Meaning what? You will come to know that the world has no independent existence. What exists is only consciousness. The world is nothing but a projection upon consciousness by the vasana filled mind. So what is world? World is nothing but projection. Projected by whom? Projected by our own vasana filled mind. So according to the vasana, so will be the projection in the outer world. And once the mind ends, once the vasana filled mind ends, the projection also ends. This is what is called as liberation. So when we are not aware of this truth, what happens to us? So in that state of moham, we consider this world to be real. We consider the things, being, situations to be real, and we get attached to them because they are capable of giving us peace, happiness, security, etc. So we get attached. So sometimes this attachment is also called moha. So this attachment is nothing but the product of delusion. So moham, very many places you will find these definitions. Sometimes it is used in the meaning of delusion, sometimes it is used in the meaning of attachment. So we get attached to things, beings and situations, not knowing that peace, happiness and security actually comes from our own self. So thus we become a samsari going through delusion. So what does this knowledge do? It puts an end to this delusion by making you aware that other than this consciousness, nothing else exists. So whatever peace, happiness and security you are seeing in these things, beings and situations, actually it is not their property. It is only a borrowed property, borrowed from your own self, which is Satchidanand. Sat means existence, Sat means immortality, therefore Sat means security, perfect security. Chit means consciousness, Anand means bliss. So peace and happiness, where should you search for? You must search it in your own self. Absolute bliss, absolute peace and happiness you can gain only from yourself. Whatever you see in these things and beings in the world, they are only borrowed peace and happiness. It is not coming from them. It is only a reflection. Reflection can never be compared to the original. So therefore, this knowledge takes you to your own self and gives you the real peace, happiness and security, after which all your delusions, all your attachments, everything gets wiped out. And then you also come to know that the whole world has only an illusory existence, it has no real existence. It is only a projection of the mind. When the mind ends, the world also ends. So the world exists on the mind, mind exists in consciousness. So finally, it is this consciousness alone which exists. It is a consciousness alone which is a substratum for the whole world, for its existence. This is what jnana does. And Bhagavan says, Drakshasi Atmani Atho Mai. Bhagavan says, you will find that the whole world is existing in consciousness, and this consciousness is none other than me. Bhagavan says, the Lord of the universe says that this consciousness which you experience in yourself as your own self, it is none other than me. So therefore, you can say that this verse, verse number 35, has got two very important statements of Vedanta. What is that? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. What is Satyam is only Brahman, Jagat is Mithya. That message is given here. And also, Aham Brahma Asmi. This Aham which I feel, this Atma is none other than Brahman. All those statements you can very easily decipher from this verse. So all delusion gone. There is only one thing which exists, and it is my own higher self, which is none other than God. So therefore, firm abidance in one's own self, firm abidance in consciousness is the ultimate goal of life. Right. Then what happens? Now, a question may come, Bhagavan, this path which you have mentioned, is it available for everyone? Because I am a great sinner, Bhagavan. I have done all kinds of sins. Am I also equally eligible to walk this path of knowledge? For this question, Bhagavan answers in verse number 36. Bhagavan says, Arjuna, everybody is fit to walk this path. Let us chant that verse. Api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrajinam santarishyasi. Arjuna, api chedasi, even if you are sarvebhyah papebhyah papakrittamah, even if you are the greatest sinner, greater than all the other sinners, even if you are a rank sinner, sarvam jnanaplavena eva vrajinam santarishyasi. All these sins, the ocean of sins which you have committed, you can easily cross over this ocean of sins by jnanaplava, the boat of knowledge. How easily you cross over the ocean with the boat. You need not know the width of the ocean. Ocean may be infinitely wide, infinitely deep. You need not know all that. If you have a boat, you just cross over, and it is so easy. In the same way, how much ever papa karma you might have done in the past, it doesn't matter. What all be the kind of papa karmas you have done, you might have done the greatest papa karma, it doesn't matter. With this knowledge, you can easily cross over all those papas. So one good thing about it is, you don't have to dry up the ocean to cross the ocean. Drying up is impossible. So without drying up, you can, with your boat, you can cross over. In the same way, you don't have to exhaust all your papa karmas of the past. Not necessary. You can transcend your papa karmas. And this is possible only through knowledge. Exhausting each and every karma, it's an infinite job, it's an infinite task, it is never going to end. But transcending the karma, it is possible. The same topic is taken up next. Let us chant that also and discuss. Yathedhamsi samidhognihi bhasmasat kurute Arjuna Jnanagnis sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Yes. So here Bhagavan answers how this knowledge puts an end to all our actions. Yatha samidha agnihi, just like a well-lit fire. Edhamsi bhasmasat kurute, it reduces into ashes a pile of firewood. Edhamsi means fuel, firewood. Just like a well-lit fire reduces the entire pile of firewood into ashes. Tatha jnana agnihi sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. In the same way, this fire of knowledge reduces all this pile, mountain pile of karmas into ashes. So this knowledge is like fire which reduces all our actions into ashes. So now we will spend some time here. So sarva karmani, all actions. Now what are all actions? What are our actions? So our scriptures talk about three types of actions. What are they? Number one, sanchita karma. Number two, prarabdha karma. And number three, agami karma. So these topics come in Tattvabodha, the fundamental of Vedanta is covered there. So first one is sanchita karma. So first of all, we have to understand the law of this universe. Whatever karma we do, it comes back to us as karma phala in the right time, right kala. So whatever actions we do, it has to come back to us. Yaha karta bhavati sa eva bhokta bhavati. This is the law. The one who is the doer of an action will have to become the enjoyer of the fruits of those actions. This is the law. Some karmas, they quickly give results. Some take some time. So we cannot say that all karmas take the same time to come back to us as karma phala. We cannot say. It is something like seed. You may sow the seed, but when is that seed going to sprout? You cannot say. It depends upon the type of that seed. Some seeds sprout overnight. Some seeds take some few days. Some seeds, they sprout only after few months. So depending upon the nature of the seed, sprouting also happens. In the same way, karma also. Some karma, the result is immediate. Some karma, it takes some time, maybe few hours. You eat some food, only after few hours it is digested. You write an exam, the result comes only after 1 month. So karma phala comes only after 1 month. A child is born only after 9 months. So you will find, so every karma has its own time to fructify and come back to us as karma phala. So, all those actions which we have performed in the past, which have not yet started giving results, karma phala, it is just waiting for those karmas to fructify, to ripen, to give results. All those pending karmas done in the past, they are called as sanchita karma. Sanchita means well accumulated. So whatever karma we do, it's all stored in our own mind. So it is just waiting for fructification. So this collection of karma is called sanchita karma. Now, as time passes by, one part of this sanchita becomes ready for fructification, becomes ripened, and this one part of sanchita comes to us as prarabdha karma. So it is this prarabdha karma which gives us this body. So we all have come with this prarabdha karma. What is prarabdha karma? It is nothing but a part of sanchita karma which has become ready for fructification. So that prarabdha karma will decide what kind of body we are going to be born in, where, when we are going to be born, to which parents, in which environment. Everything is decided by this prarabdha karma. Now, as we are exhausting this prarabdha karma by going through the karma phalas, in the process we perform so many karmas. So these karmas which we perform in the present, which is capable of giving future results, so those karmas are called agami karmas. Agami means future. So these karmas which we are doing now, while exhausting the prarabdha karmas, those karmas which are performed, which is capable of giving results in the future, those karmas are called agami karma. So sanchita, prarabdha, agami. These are the three types of karmas mentioned in our scriptures. So now it is said, Jnana agnihi sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. Sarva karmani, all karmas. So all karmas means which karma? Sanchita, prarabdha, agami. So this fire of knowledge burns into ashes all our karmas. Now what does it mean? What it means is, all these karmas, to whom do they belong to? We find that all these karmas belong to the ego. All karmas belong to the ego. They don't belong to consciousness. They don't belong to BMI. They belong to consciousness identified with BMI. This entity is called ego. So all these actions, these karmas, they belong to the ego. Now what does this jnana tapas or jnana agni do? This jnana makes us aware that this ego has no real existence, it is an illusion. This jnana makes us realize that this ego has no reality, it is only an illusion. Why ego is called an illusion? Ego is called an illusion because it is born out of a combination between real consciousness and unreal BMI. Real consciousness identified with unreal BMI, this third entity called ego is born. So what is ego? It is a combination of real and unreal. Now a question may come, is it ever possible that real can combine with unreal? So the answer it is absolutely impossible. It is absolutely impossible that real can combine with unreal. It is impossible. So therefore, this ego also has to be an illusion. It is exact like the film theatre example. Who is the one who is crying in the film theatre? The person who is watching the movie need not cry because the sorrows don't belong to him. The sorrows belong to the movie scenes, movie characters. So the real person who is watching the movie need not cry. The unreal character cannot cry because there is no such character there. So then who is crying in the theatre? Real man cannot cry. Real man need not cry. Unreal character cannot cry. Then who is crying? The real identified with the unreal. A third entity is born, as though born. That's all we can say. It is this third entity born out of the combination of real and unreal. Actually, this combination is impossible, but through our mind, through our identification, it is as though it has happened. So this identification makes us feel as though something impossible has happened. So this combination of real and unreal brings about the existence of a third entity. And who is this third entity? The crying, weeping person in the film theatre. So the moment he questions, who am I? The moment he questions his identity in the film theatre, then his sorrow also ends, because he comes to know that all these sorrows don't belong to me. It is just a mere fictional story. Those sorrows are not mine. I am a totally different entity. The moment this knowledge dawns upon him, all his sorrows also vanish. In the same way, consciousness need not cry because it is Ananda Swarupa, it is Satchidananda Swarupa. Ananda means bliss. Consciousness need not cry. It need not have any kind of sorrow, limitation, suffering. Consciousness need not cry. BMI cannot cry because it is nothing but matter, jada, inert, insentient. Consciousness need not cry. BMI cannot cry. Then who is the one who is crying? Consciousness identified with limited, defectful BMI. Consciousness identified with such a BMI, this entity is born, this entity called ego. So when we try to understand the reality of ego, we come to know that it's a mere illusion. So how to put an end to this illusion? Disidentify from BMI, identify with the real consciousness. So when you identify yourself with this real consciousness, you get firmly established in jnana. Now this is called as jnana agni here. So when your identification is with consciousness, the ego is dead, because ego is born out of identification, out of wrong notion. So the ego is dead. The moment the ego is dead, everything related to the ego, hanging on to the ego, is also dead. What are the things which are hanging on to the ego? Sanchita, Agami, Prarabdha. All the three are hanging on to the ego. All of them vanish. This is the meaning. Jnana agni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. All those actions, they belong to the ego. The ego is no more there. What is there is only pure consciousness, and therefore those karmas also get burnt in this fire of knowledge. It is no more able to create any influence upon that person. It is exactly like, as Pujya Gurudev used to give the example, suppose there is a criminal, he has so many pending cases, and then finally he is shot down by the police in some encounter. Now what happens to all the cases of this man? You will have to burn it away. You will have to discard it, because the person who has to go through the punishment for these cases, the person who has to go through the karma phala of his criminal karmas, that person is no more. Once that person is no more, then all those pending files you will have to discard. In the same way, this jnana destroys this sinner ego and thus free us from all future miseries. So therefore, this jnana is called greatest purifier in the next verse, verse number 38. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha kalenatmani vindati. Arjuna, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing like self-knowledge which is a greatest purifier. Pavitra means purifier. There is no greater purifier than self-knowledge. Why is this self-knowledge called the greatest purifier? You see, all the other spiritual sadhanas, they do purify the mind, of course. Whether you do japa, or whether you do fasting, or you do some parayana, chanting, any kind of spiritual sadhana will definitely purify the mind. But unfortunately, all those sadhanas, they don't efface the ego. That samsari, that ego remains. So if you do lot of spiritual sadhanas without jnana sadhana, what will happen? You will remain a samsari, maybe a more religious samsari, maybe a more virtuous samsari. Samsari term will continue. Samsari means the ego. That ego will continue, but along with it you can keep on adding different adjectives. A more peaceful samsari, virtuous samsari, religious samsari, etc., etc. You can keep on changing the adjectives, but that samsara will continue because the ego is continuing its journey without its destruction. But what does this knowledge do? It puts an end to that ego. It is only the jnana sadhana which puts an end to the ego. Now let us analyze this in a different way. What is it that makes our thoughts, words and deeds impure? What do you mean impure thoughts? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Raga, Dvesha, Ahankara, Mamakara. All these things are impure thoughts. Impure thoughts will definitely bring out impure words, impure actions. So what is the root cause of this impurity in our thoughts, words and deeds? The root cause is ego. Our sense of limitation, our identification with the body. The moment I think that I am the body, then all this kama, krodha will naturally be there in the mind. You can't avoid it. As long as you think yourself to be the BMI, you can never escape from kama, krodha. So the root cause of all impurities in our life, in our thoughts, words and deeds, it is only because the ego in us. It is only because of our identification with the body. So what does this jnana do? It puts an end to this identification. It makes us aware of our true nature, that is Satchidananda. And once we come to know that we are Satchidananda, then the mind can never entertain anything called kama, krodha, etc. So it becomes eternally pure. It remains eternally pure. As far as other sadhanas are concerned, when you are doing that sadhana, yes, mind is pure. But once you stop that sadhana, when you enter into the world, you are entering into the world as the ego, because ego is not yet destroyed, it is still active. So with the ego, naturally the mind will get impure. But whereas this jnana sadhana is such that once we are established in this knowledge, the mind becomes eternally free from all negativities. This is the meaning Jnana is the greatest purifier. So Jnana is something like a detergent. Of course, an idealistic detergent. A detergent where you wash the clothes and the clothes have become clean. Not only the clothes have become clean, in the future also, that cloth will never get any kind of impurity. If there can be such a detergent, then Jnana is that detergent. Not only that, it cleans the mind and it prevents the mind from getting any kind of impurity in the future. That is the glory of Jnana. Therefore, we say Jnana is the greatest purifier, because the very cause of impurity is eliminated through Jnana. The cause of impurity is ego. It puts an end to this ego, and once the ego is over, ego is destroyed, the cause of all impurity also is destroyed. So therefore, Jnana is called the greatest purifier. But Bhagavan, when am I going to get this? So Bhagavan says, Arjuna, tat swayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena atmani vindati. At the right time, kalena. It will take time. You will have to patiently wait and work upon yourself, because self-evolution is not as, it cannot be done in hurry. So kalena, over a period of time. Yoga samsiddha, patiently keep on working on yourself. Be perseverant, sincere, and definitely once you have become yoga samsiddha, established in yoga by following these paths, then swayam atmani vindati, in your own self you will attain this great truth. This great truth you will experience as your own self, as a very I in yourself. Bhagavan, what is the qualification for gaining knowledge? Yes, the teacher may advise, upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. The teacher may give this knowledge to me, but there is no guarantee that I may gain that knowledge. So what is the sure qualification? What are the qualifications necessary which will ensure that I will get this knowledge? What are the qualifications necessary, the inner qualifications? So another very famous verse, verse number 39. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. So here Bhagavan mentions three very important qualifications necessary to gain this knowledge. What are they? Number one, Shraddha. Number two, Tat Paraha. Number three, Sanyata Indriyaha. So Shraddha, Shraddha means faith. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Shraddha, faith. Tat Paraha. Tat Paraha means the one who is diligent. Tat Paraha, keeping that as the highest. Keeping that as the highest priority in life. So the one who has kept this knowledge as the highest priority and who is striving hard to gain that. So both the meanings can go for Tatparaha. Tatparaha Sanyata Indriyaha, and the one who has disciplined his indriyas, his senses. So these are the three qualifications necessary to gain this knowledge. Number one, faith in the highest reality. Number two, keeping that alone as the highest goal and striving for it. And number three, disciplining your sense organs. If these three things can be done, can be achieved, then definitely a person will gain that knowledge. And what happens after gaining this knowledge? Jnanam labdhva param shantim adhigacchati. Once this knowledge is gained, such a person gains param shantim, the supreme peace. But when? Achirena. Achirena means immediately. The moment you gain this knowledge, that very same moment you get peace. There is no time delay. So here Bhagavan gives 3 virtues, 3 qualifications. So the number 1 is Shraddha, faith. Now this faith is very much emphasized in our scriptures. Faith in the teacher, faith in the scriptures, faith in God, faith in oneself. So always this term comes, Shraddha, faith. Unless the mind is purified enough, this faith doesn't come. Faith doesn't come so easily because very many statements of the scriptures on superficial analysis appear to be contradicting our experiences. The statements of the scriptures, they contradict our experience, meaning our experience tells one thing, the scriptures tell something else. So therefore it is very easy to reject the statements of the scriptures. This rejection from within is called ashraddha. Something from within says, no, this is not right. This is not right because my experience doesn't match with what is being said. So therefore, internally you reject it. That rejection is called ashraddha. And this is very easy. Majority of the people will fall into this, ashraddhalus, because their analysis of their experience is only superficial. And on superficial analysis, we will always find that scriptural statements will never match with our experience. For example, the scripture says, perform all your action without expecting results. Karmanyavadhikarasya ma phaleshu kavachana. Now a person who has only superficially analyzed his experiences, he will say, no, this statement cannot be wrong, cannot be right, because in my life, everything whatever I attained is only because I was attached to the result. It is for the result that I have worked hard. I got rank because I worked hard for rank. So I could work hard because I was deriving inspiration from the goal. It is the goal which inspired me to work hard. So how can you say perform action without expecting results? Throughout my life, the best comes out of me because I am inspired by the goal. So therefore, this statement is wrong. So now what happens? There is an inner rejection. There is a rejection from within, saying that this is not right. You will find that almost all statements in the scriptures, they just talk something opposite, contrary to our experience. The scriptures say, you alone are responsible for your misery. Now when a person reads this, he says, how can I be responsible? In my own life, my neighbor is the one who is giving trouble to me. My wife gives trouble to me. My husband gives trouble to me. My children give trouble to me. There are so many people who are giving trouble to me. How can you say that I am the cause for all my trouble? No. So in the superficial analysis, you come to know that this statement appears to be wrong. So therefore what happens? Ashraddha comes. So very many times people reject scriptures because they don't go deep. They try to analyze only at a superficial level. And therefore that first qualification necessary to walk the spiritual path, which is Shraddha, itself is gone. There are so many statements in the scriptures which is just opposite to our experience. Our experience say, I am in the world. The scriptures say, no, the world is in you. My experience says, I am a mortal being. The scriptures say, no, you are immortal. My experience say, I am a, miserable creature. Scriptures say you are Ananda Swarupa. My experience say I am the one who is performing action. The scriptures say no, you are actionless. You have no action related to you, connected to you. See? So it is just the opposite. My experience say I am a limited being. Scriptures say you are Brahman, Tattvamasi. All those statements, they appear contradicting my experiences. So therefore Shraddha is very difficult to come. But if the mind is very, very pure, if the mind is pure, then the Shraddha comes automatically. So this person with a purified mind says, fine, whatever is said in the scripture, they don't match with my experience, but if the scriptures have said it, it must be right. They will never misguide us. If my Guru has said it, then it must be right, because my Guru will never misguide me. You see? Now this is called faith. Whatever is said in the scriptures, whatever is said by Guru, it may not match with my experience, but that doesn't mean that they are wrong. It only means that I have not gone deep into my own experience. I have not analyzed my experience properly. If they have said it, they must be right, because they can never lie. They can never misguide us. You know, this kind of acceptance from within, this is called Shraddha. My senses don't agree with it, my experiences don't agree with it. Sometimes I may not even able to understand what they are saying, but even then, deep within I feel they are definitely right. Maybe I am not qualified to understand them, but one thing is for sure, they are right. This feeling, this acceptance from the very core of your being, from the very core of our being, this acceptance is called Shraddha. So scriptures say Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. First stage is clear. Now once the Shraddha is there, then second one automatically comes, second and third one. Tat paraha, you will work hard to gain it, keeping that as the highest goal of life. Paraha means supreme. Tat paraha, keeping that as supreme. Keeping that goal as the supreme goal of life, then naturally you will work hard. If faith is not there, the question of working hard doesn't come at all. So the first step is faith, then comes hard work, and in the process, you must conserve your energy. So the whole process is conserve the energy, channelize and direct your energy towards the goal. This is the whole process. So tatparaha means channelizing and directing the energy towards the goal. Sanyata indriya means conserving the energy. You are not allowing your senses to leak out all your energies into the worldly unwanted pursuits. So this is sanyata indriya, disciplining the senses. So conserve your energy by disciplining the senses, direct this energy towards the goal, and then finally attain the goal. And once this jnanam is gained, jnanam labdhva param shanti madhigacchati, that person gains infinite peace. So what is the proof that we are progressing spiritually? The proof of our spiritual progress is shanti starts becoming deeper and deeper. Shanti, the peace of mind, that contentment, that fulfillment, that joy which we experience in the heart. So the depth and time duration of this peace increases as we progress in spirituality. So this is the sure sign of spiritual progress. Now Bhagavan, who are those people who will never gain this knowledge? So verse number 40. Ajñascha shraddadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paraha Na sukham samshayatmanah. Yes. So who are those who will never gain this knowledge? So Bhagavan names three. Ajnaha, the ignorant ones. Ashraddadhanaha, the faithless ones. Samshayatma, the doubting ones. Vinashyati, they are sure to get destroyed. Destroyed means they will again and again come back to this birth-death cycle. This is the meaning, destruction. But among these three, the worst condition is for Samshayatma. Why is it so, Bhagavan? Na ayam lokaha asti. For a Samshayatma, neither this world, na ayam loka, na paraha, nor the higher world, na sukham, there is no peace as far as a Samshayatma is concerned. Right. So who are those three people who will never gain this knowledge? Number one, Ajnaha. Ajnaha means a person who is totally ignorant about self-knowledge. Majority of the people in this world, they belong to this category. They are not even aware that there is such a knowledge. They are not even aware. Ajnaha. So definitely they will come back to this world. The second one is Ashraddadhanaha. So here, these people, they have got a chance to listen to these scriptures. But when they listen, something from within says, no, this is not right. They reject it. This is called as Ashraddadhanaha. This is the second category. And the third one, Samshayatma. So when they are sitting in satsang, they feel yes, what he said is right. The moment they leave satsang, they feel, I think that is not right. So their mind is like a pendulum. In satsang, they feel that what he said is right. But the moment they are out, the moment they are in the midst of the worldly people, all their Shraddha Bhakti gone. Samshayatma. Now Bhagavan says among all these three, the condition of Samshayatma is the most pathetic because as far as Ajna is concerned, at least he has this world. He can enjoy the pleasures of this world without worrying about the other world. Because according to him, the other world doesn't exist. Ashraddadhana also, he will enjoy this world because according to him, he has no faith in the other. But as far as Samshayatma is concerned, Bhagavan says he has no sukham. Why? Na ayam lokaha, na paraha. His condition is like pendulum. So when he is doing yoga, he is thinking of bhoga. He is thinking, see, I am struggling here in yoga. See, so many people, majority of them are there enjoying bhoga. So definitely I am missing something from there. This is what he is thinking. Okay, fine. He leaves yoga and comes here for bhoga. Now, while doing bhoga, his mind is not here. He thinks of this, yogic lessons. So, all those teachings, ye hi samsparshaja bhoga, dukkha yona evate, all this bhoga, it is nothing but pain, it is nothing but impermanent, it will only give sorrow. This is what he thinks when he is going through bhoga. So, actually with a peaceful mind, he can't go through bhoga also. So neither yoga is able to practice nor bhoga he is able to indulge in. So therefore Bhagavan says, na sukham, he has no peace. Neither this world nor the other world. Now here we have to understand one thing, we are all evolving through these stages. So in the beginning we all start with Ajnaha, we have no idea what the spiritual knowledge is. But over a period of time, we become Ashraddadhanaha. We get an opportunity to listen, but somewhere we are not able to accept what is being said. Then the third stage is we become Samshayatma. Something we are able to accept, but that knowledge is not able to remain full. Now these are all the different stages of evolution. Ajnaha, Ashraddadhanaha, Samshayatma. After Samshayatma comes the next stage, which is Shraddadhanaha. It is not mentioned here, but we have to understand that. there is a stage of that samshaya. You are neither here nor there, you are miserable. But through that misery, slowly that samshayatma evolves to become a faithful person, a shraddhadhana. And finally, with faith, he goes to the next stage, which is suvitnyaha, the knower. So, ajnaha to suvitnyaha, this is a journey. So, ajnaha, ashraddhadhanaha, samshayatma, then shraddhadhanaha, then finally suvitnyaha. So, this is the journey through which all of us are going. This is what we have discussed earlier as mama vartma, my path. This is a law of nature. So, this is the journey which all of us we have to take. Right. Now, Bhagavan concludes the entire teaching in the last two verses. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya. Arjuna, yoga sanyasta karmanam, the one who has renounced all action with the help of yoga. So that is karma yoga. One who has renounced all action through karma yoga. Jnana sanchinna samshayam, the one who has destroyed all samshaya through jnana, all doubts through knowledge. And thus finally he has become atmavantam, the possessor of atma. Na karmani nibadhanti, such a person is not bound by action. So one who has renounced action through this yoga. So renunciation of action, we have to understand, it is not renouncing action, it is renouncing the identification with the instruments of action. So the one who has renounced action through right knowledge and has become actionless. The one who has destroyed all doubts through knowledge, and thus one who is firmly abiding in Atma, the Supreme Self. For him, actions don't bind. Therefore, the last verse, Tasmadajnana sambhutam hridstham nanasinatmanah chitvainam samshayam yogam atishthottishta bharata. Tasmat, therefore, atmanah samshayam, this doubt about one's own self, which is born of ajnana sambhutam, which is born out of ignorance. This doubt regarding one's own self born out of ignorance. Where is it? Hridstham, which is there in one's own heart, which is there in one's own core of being. This wrong notion about oneself, this wrong notion which is born out of ignorance of the self. Arjuna, jnanasina chitva, cut it off with the sword of knowledge. It is only the knowledge of the self which can destroy the ignorance of the self. So destroy this ignorance with the sword of knowledge, and then yogam atishta, be established in yoga. Arjuna, uttishta, stand up and be ready to fight. Om Tatsaditi Srimad Bhagavad Geetasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Chaturtho Dhyayah. Thus this fourth chapter comes to an end. The name of this fourth chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which comes Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. So the topic is Brahma Vidya, and this Brahma Vidya is nothing but the essence of the Upanishads. So the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the essence of the Upanishads. So this chapter comes to an end. I sincerely invoke the grace of the Lord and the blessings of the entire Guru Parampara. May we all gain this knowledge through hard work, through Jnana Tapas, and thus may we be all be free from this birth-death cycle in this birth itself. Tomorrow we will all meet for Puja Gurudev's Aradhana celebration. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा बाहर रामा, अंदर राम, बाहर रामा, जहाँ देखो तो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो तो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो तो राम ही राम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा जागत राम सोवत रामा, जागत राम सोवत रामा, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, जो देखो सो राम सरीका, 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 जो देखो सो राम सरीका। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा